And it was just a crescendo and noise that, inside the walls were almost reverberating in the ground. And that was just their coach arriving, never mind being out on the pitch. So I picked Woody instead of me as well. So, just don't watch it. Keep my eyes closed, stick my fingers in my ears and just see what happens. Do I really need to answer that question?
Hey up, Leeds fans. We are about to talk to a Leeds United legend, 200 appearances. What is it, 5 more than Gordon Strachan's stats?
250 appearances for Leeds.
There you go. Wikipedia wrong again. But thank goodness we've got stats. So if you are new to the channel and you're a Leeds fan, why not hit subscribe? And if you like this video at some point during it, why not give us a thumbs up? Let's crack on. The following podcast contains some strong language and some very average opinions. Any references to actual people are wildly inaccurate. It's probably best if you don't listen at all. The Roaring Peacock Podcast. Welcome back to the Roaring Peacock Podcast. This is a special interview, another bonus episode for your ears. My name's Adonis, and you know me as @the_Adelites on Twitter. It's a very good hello from me, and joining us is at LUFC Stats.
Good evening. Very much looking forward to this one this evening. Very special guest we've got.
And I'm sure you've guessed it from the title. We have a certain Mr. David Wetherall on the show.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, David.
Good evening.
You're a lot, even though it's Zoom, you're a lot closer to me than when I was a very small boy, 7 years old, on the Jack Charlton stand, it's called now, and watching you power in a header against a certain Manchester United.
You're making me feel old. You were there as a 7-year-old.
Okay, so loads to talk about then. From your induction into Show Racism, the Red Cards Hall of Fame, you're the Head of Youth Development at the Football League. You were in a plane crash with the Leeds squad. You've scored winners against Manchester United, and that if anything's going to endear you and draw you into the hearts of Leeds United fans, doing that is going to be one of them. In fact, you were the scourge of the Big Six, and of course, we can't forget about the European Super League and getting your thoughts on that. So, but to introduce you, I will allow Stats to get all of the facts and figures correct.
Yeah, we are joined tonight by a player who has made 250 appearances for the Mighty Whites, scored 18 goals, scored 2 very significant goals. One that I'll be interested to see how he describes on a very warm September day, 94, and a soaring header past the same goalkeeper in September 1997. And he also scored a goal that helped Leeds indirectly get into the Champions League on a very, very warm day at Valley Parade. It is a very, very warm welcome to David Wetherall. Good evening, David.
Thanks, Andrew. Pleasure to be here.
So,
No
David,
problem.
can we start off then with this European Super League and just get your thoughts on it, and maybe because you're inside the walls of the Football League, so what kind of reaction that the Football League has had to this?
I think the official statements from the league show that we were against the proposals, reducing competition and reducing opportunity for clubs to earn their place. But I think most of the talk's been around the Premier League, obviously, because it sort of directly influences what happens there, and then it's more knock-on effects for ourselves. But I think football fans across the country will be pretty pleased that it looks like it's not going to happen now, and that the clubs have withdrawn.
Do you think that on the weekend that you've done obviously a lot to try and combat racism in the game? This weekend was meant to be the big fanfare for No Room for Racism. Do you think that, given that was the case, it's even more poorly timed?
I'm sure that didn't come into the thinking, but hopefully now we can move on and get in many respects back to business as usual, and just move forward. I'm sure there'll be there'll be discussions around what's happened over the last few days for a long time to come. But hopefully we can get back to focusing on football and on this weekend, and things from a number of perspectives will feel like business as normal soon.
I want to kind of start from the beginning with your Leeds United career. Obviously, you joined from Sheffield Wednesday, I think, along with your good pal John Newsom in the sort of summer '91, and you were called up, you didn't make your debut at Old Trafford, ironically, on a very warm August day in 1991. What do you kind of remember of that day, David?
I think that was probably the first time on the bench. I didn't come on then, but it was some experience. I come across as a part-time player. I was finishing my university degree, so I wasn't even training full-time at that season. And just to be involved around the first team with some of the players we all know who was around the place at that time. Strachan, McAllister, Speeds, etc. of this world. And was an incredible experience. And then to be involved at in a squad at some huge stadiums was a dream come true. I was a student. I was just a young kid, really trying to make my way in the world, and hadn't had any football experience at that level. So just to be involved in that first season in and around the squad, if you like, then winning the league was an amazing experience.
And then obviously you made your debut a few days later, coming on for Tony Dorigo in a 2-2 draw against Arsenal. You only came on for a few minutes at the end. Was that a real big turning point in your career at that point?
I think anybody making their debut, you remember it. I think I was due to come on with about 20 minutes to go or something like that, and then we equalised, made it 2-2. So I got told to sit back down again, and I think Howard probably felt a little bit sorry for me and just gave me the last 2 minutes up front just to go and have a run around. It was still enough time for Tony Adams to absolutely smash me and give me a warm welcome to first team football.
You're from Sheffield. You grew up as a Wednesday supporter. Did 200 appearances for Leeds sway you to support Leeds United, or change your allegiances, or the 300 appearance or so for Bradford, did that change anything either, or are you still a Sheffield Wednesday fan?
I think people seem to struggle with the concept. I'm a massive fan of three clubs. You never forget your first love, and that's right in football. You don't, but the time I had at Leeds, I had fantastic memories of the place, and it was never held against me, if you like, being from Sheffield or being on the books of Sheffield Wednesday. And then obviously they moved on to Bradford, and I actually had 12 years there after 8 years at Leeds. So, how can I not have great affinity for all three clubs? But yeah, certainly count myself a Leeds fan. It's fantastic to see what's going on at the place at the minute.
Just want to sort of take you back to a very warm day. I think you're on the bench of the Charity Shield at Wembley when Sir Duncan scored a hat-trick for Leeds, and obviously Leeds were champions, Liverpool FA Cup winners. What do you sort of remember of that day?
Again, just an incredible experience. As you said earlier, I played 2 minutes of senior football, if you like, before then. So, just to be involved at Wembley and to experience that game from the bench, and then to get to walk up the steps, I suppose, and then just experience that without being involved in the game, which obviously dying to get onto the pitch, but didn't manage that. But yeah, again, a great experience to be around that place. You just at that time just waiting for your break and doing whatever you can to try and move yourself forward and get opportunities on the pitch.
What was it like kind of being involved in the European Cup games, the Stuttgart? I don't know how to describe it, because obviously they failed an extra foreigner, and then the Glasgow Rangers game. What was that like to be sort of around the camp at that time?
Again, amazing experiences. To have those the atmosphere of those games right at the start of your career, and just to be involved in games of such magnitude, even if it's just in and around the squad, was an incredible insight to the game. It may well been a case that if I'd had a few years' experience, you you may appreciate it more. You might just think, this is going to be like this all the time. But I think you got to recognise right from the start that Leeds had one hell of a team at that time, and it was going to be hard work to get in. So just trying to soak up the experience and learn from everybody around the place, and then the games themselves were just incredible to just the Stuttgart one to feeling like as a club we've been knocked out, to get that bit of a reprieve, and then have the night over in Barcelona that we did, albeit with virtually no fans present. Then just incredible experiences right at the start of my first team career.
Now, one thing that really I think frustrated Leeds fans that season, we didn't win an away game in 92-3. What do you know why that was? What was it? The back pass rule? Because we were so good at home. We only lost one at home that year. We just couldn't win an away game. I've asked so many people the reasons. What's your thoughts on why we just couldn't win away from 11?
No, it was really, really strange. I mean, thank goodness we managed to win a few at home, I suppose. But it was. There's people who are far more experienced in the game who lived through that, who just can't explain it. It was just a really strange occurrence that games came and we had chances to win the game and came close away from home. It just never seemed to happen. He had that feeling we just needed that one to sort of break this stat that everyone kept reminding the club of as the season wore on. But it was certainly a difficult season all around, wasn't it? After winning the title the season before. It was a real challenge for everybody who was in and around that first team squad, I suppose.
And sort of following on from me at this point, you scored your first goal against Chelsea. You'd actually been elbowed by Tony Cascarino, who had actually got sent off, and you actually got off the floor straight away. And then you went forward and scored your first goal. What do you remember about that one?
If you'd have asked me this a couple of weeks ago, maybe not so much, but somebody sent me a YouTube link just a couple of weeks ago of that game, and he had those two bits on, the elbow and the goal as well, and I obviously enjoyed that goal. I mean, it's just crossed from the right, and I got a diving header on it, got over the top of a defender and met it sweet. So first goal, and I think he was in front of the Kop to do it there at Ellen Road. Then what a feeling, and it was that season was a poor one, I suppose, for the team. But in a way, from a personal perspective, you want to be part of a successful team. But I got a bit of a breakthrough, if you like, my first season of playing full time, and managed to just get a few games in, and to experience things like that, to score the first goal, sort of gave me a lot of belief, I think, to then kick on into the following few seasons.
16 years then since Leeds were in the Premier League, and aside from a couple of cup games and a friendly, I guess a lot of the younger fans wouldn't really know too much other than stories about what Leeds United versus Manchester United is all about. And in the 90s, there were some huge games and obviously very fiercely competitive characters, especially when you think about people like Roy Keane and Patrick Vieira almost coming to blows in the tunnel. So you were a player who never shrank from those big games. In fact, completely the opposite. You seem to kind of come alive and even become the hero, scoring against Chelsea, as we mentioned, Liverpool. After that, in a 2-0 win, and Manchester United, obviously, we mentioned that as well in September 94, and then 97-98 wearing this shirt, scoring the winner against a certain Manchester United again in September, and then Newcastle in a 4-1 win, Chelsea 3-1. So can you tell me a little bit about why it was that you seemed to step up and thrive in these really combative environments and huge games?
I've got a clue. Not a clue. No,
Great answer.
I think it's just that the goal scoring is just how things fell. It's not like I wasn't trying to score against everybody. That's not really my job. It's just how things seem to fall. I think you pointed out at the start was some younger fans might not really appreciate what Leeds Man United is, what it means and what it's all about. And I was in that camp when I first came up to the the club and to the city, and I first experienced it. And I think one of my early recollections of that, I told this a few times, is we used to, for home games, we used to arrive really early at the ground, and do some training, and then have a pre-match at the ground and prepare for the full day. And I remember being sat in the players' lounge and just hearing this noise outside around lunchtime, and sort of being a bit concerned. What's happened? Someone said, "Don't worry, it's just the Man United team coach arriving." And it was just a crescendo and noise that inside the walls were almost reverberating in the ground, and that was just their coach arriving. Never mind being out on the pitch. So, the atmosphere around those games was really special. But I think in terms of the goal scoring, it was just how things fell. Fortunate to get the chance on the day, and lucky enough to stick the ball in the back of the net on a few occasions.
Do you have stories? Obviously, we all know that massive incident between Roy Keane and Patrick Vieira. Was there ever anything like that? Was there ever palpable animosity in the tunnel with Leeds, between Leeds and Manchester United?
I don't recall anything in the in the tunnel, to be honest. No, I think there was. I don't recall anything out of the ordinary. It was just really, let's get out on the pitch. There's enough to worry about out on the pitch without stuff kicking off in the tunnel, isn't it? So no, I can't think of anything that happened sort of off the pitch there.
But on the pitch, the raw in those games, bigger than any other game you've either been to as a fan or been involved in as a player or a manager?
I think the atmosphere was just incredible. It just makes your ears ring when you're out on the pitch and you're sort of in the centre of it all, and the noise is coming from all angles. And as I said, I didn't really appreciate the sort of level of feeling and the passion around those games before I experienced it. But I know about it. I know about it now. It's it's a bit special, and he needs to stay the right side of the line, obviously. But I think he just emphasised what we've all gone through these last 12 months or so. I think that it's just one of those games that you're just really looking forward to with a full house. At Ellen Road, obviously.
Yeah.
And I'm sure everybody connected with football and particularly with Leeds is so hoping to experience that atmosphere again, and hopefully it won't be long, because it is very special, and the Leeds fans make it a very special occasion.
I just want to take you back to that first goal against Man United, September 94. We haven't beaten them, I think, in 13 attempts. I think a corner comes in from David White from the left-hand side. And I think the Sky Sports commentator describes a mishit shot that just literally divoted over Peter Schmeichel. What do you remember of that goal?
That's harsh from the Sky reporter. I tell everybody I gave him the eyes, look to the right and then put it to the left, obviously, just as I planned it. As I planned it. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it, by the way. Brilliant. But could you sense how much that game meant to the fans, because we were so desperate to beat them? And added to that, a certain Michel Cantona was on the opposing side of Manchester United at that time. Yeah, I think that was, it just adds to the build up to a game when you've not managed to, the club's not managed to beat the opposition for a prolonged period, and with it being that game, then it sort of all adds to it, and then the sort of your appreciation of that at the end when you're part of that team that's been able to get that victory was great. And as I said, just to be fortunate enough, and that goal probably was a little bit fortunate. Then to be able to get a goal in that game as well and be part of the team that got the victory was a fantastic experience, absolutely brilliant experience, and still. Pretty. I was an inexperienced player there. What was it, 94, 95?
Yeah.
I didn't come till 90, 91 and had a season part time, as I said. So, I was new in my career, if you like, and to as I said earlier, to have those experiences, just fantastic time for me.
Donny.
Okay, so we'll move forward a little bit in time then, and past the Manchester United game. So West Ham 3, Leeds United 0, Monday, 30th of March, 1998. We, long-time listeners of the show will know that we spoke to your former colleague, Robert Molinar, about this incident. So nothing particularly special about that West Ham game, just the standard 3-0 loss in London, which we've come to expect in more recent times, having not been able to win there in 3 years. Tell us about the incident with the plane crash.
Well, I don't think I played, so don't blame me for the game.
I was on for 15 minutes, I think.
Did I? All right.
You could have scored. Could have scored a few goals there.
I could have scored 4, couldn't I?
Come on, David.
Yeah. I was sat really close to Rob. Actually, I think he was just behind me, and we were close to the wing, and propeller powered plane, and just I think we'd just taken off, and there was just an almighty bang from just at the side of us. We were on that side of that wing with the engine on that burst into flames, and nobody really knew what was going on. A few shouts forward just to make sure the captain knew, because he wasn't a huge plane, obviously, that things were not right. And fortunately, he made the decision, and we were on a really long runway at Stansted, I think it was, to be able to ditch the plane and get everybody off. I mean, the few moments after actually we'd stopped on the runway with the engine on fire right next to us, just really surreal. I remember Rob saying really politely, "Can we get a bit of a move on? It's getting a bit warm in here." And it was, you'd think that there was real panic inside, and it just wasn't like that. People were trying to move quickly, but it was just quite a surreal experience. And I think it was only really when we got off the plane and we stood together on the runway, looking back at a burning plane, that you start to think, "My God, what could have happened there?"
Yeah.
And it affects people really, really, really differently. And you could see that straight away. Some people went into the shells, other people were really happy and jovial. But I think, just one of those things, lucky escape. I just tried to move on. I've flown in a propeller powered plane once since then. That was that was also one of the worst experiences of my life. It was the first day in my current job, and my boss had booked the plane tickets. I couldn't really back out, could I? We flew down to Exeter from Leeds, and it was a horrible experience. And I don't think I've ever been on a propeller powered plane since, and don't intend to. It's just one of the things. I'm fine on a jet, but it's we got really fortunate, and that's what we were. But it's, I suppose, one of the experiences of life, isn't it? But not one that I want to experience again.
Just sort of want to take back to a bit of a happier time again. Another goal against Man United. It was quite ironic, because a year prior to this game, we'd lost 4-0 at home to them. And I think Howard Osler got the sack then. And a year later, you scored the winning goal in the Roy Keane, Alfie Haaland incident game. What do you remember of that game, the atmosphere, and the whole day? Because it did feel very tense that day.
It was extremely tense. And as you said, we'd experienced the previous season what Man United are capable of. They're consistently a top team across that era. So, he's always just if you take that what a special game it is and the meaning of it to Leeds and Man United fans just away from it, just as a football match, just a real challenge as a player. So again, just special atmosphere. There was obviously the ongoing feud with Alfie and Roy that happened during that game. But I think from my recollection of my involvement, just remember a couple of things. Really was obviously the goal. You'll be really surprised at that. Remembering the goal, and then really as a defender, we were up against it, I think, with a lot of pressure. I don't think they had a lot of chances, but I think we were under a lot of pressure in the last 10 or 15 minutes. And, it's a bit strange, but it almost gave me as much pleasure just stopping the opposition scoring as a defender than he did actually nicking the goal at the other end. So, it was a day that personally, both in the opposition's box and in and around our box that went really well for me personally. But I think, you know, it was just a cracking day to you know, begin to put to rest, I suppose, the bad memories of the previous year.
And obviously, George actually made you captain for some of that season. I think when David Hopkin was out injured, how did that feel to lead the team?
Oh, it was a great honour. You know, I think by that time I'd sort of, I mentioned earlier, you almost don't appreciate the things that happened to me so early in my time at Leeds with the Europe games and being on the bench at Man United, etc. As you get that bit more experience, you kind of really begin to appreciate it. And I think I was at that stage then, and certainly recognise, you know, that how fortunate I was not only to be playing for Leeds United, but then also to have that honour of leading them out. It's just extremely special. Extremely special.
I was going to say, I've been on a propeller plane once. It was over the Grand Canyon. We went on, you know, one of these Grand Canyon tours. Dodgy, rusty thing, and it had like a trap door that was completely open with the air rushing in, and because the Grand Canyon it's got like different pressures and different different air pressures coming up and down and hot and cold, so the plane is bouncing around, and I certainly don't blame you if you never go on a propeller plane again, because
I wish we'd had one of those trapdoors. It'd been easier to get off.
Very true. Very true.
Maybe you want to talk about the last game stats before we move on to the 14th of May 2000. Do you want to talk about that? 2-2 with Coventry, and then the move to Bradford.
I'm guessing, obviously, Leeds brought in the likes of Danny Mills and Michael Dewberry that summer of '99. David, did you have an inkling then that you might need to move on to find first team football?
I didn't know how it would end. I think you know the thing for myself, I think was, and it's obviously no disrespect to the individual. In fact, it's the other way. Is Jonathan Woodgate coming through?
Absolutely.
You know, I think he played a couple of times. I seem to recall, you know, when he's getting his debut, it's me that dropped out. Played with him a couple of times. I think up at Newcastle. We played together. I remember that against Ferguson and Shearer, I think it was.
Yeah.
But I think it was you know, when Lucas is there and Jonathan's coming through, you just see the talent in those two, but particularly in Jonathan as the young lad coming through. And you know, I've said before that there's not an ounce of ill feeling between, you know, me and David O'Leary for making that choice, because I'd pick Woody instead of me as well. So, you know, there can't be any issue. But it was, it's a really tough decision when, you know, the club made it clear that, you know, I wouldn't be getting a lot of game time. And I think I was 28 at the time, so you really just wanted to be playing and needed to be playing. I think I was you know, about my best then. So, you know, the club saw things a different way, and you know, totally no problems whatsoever. They made it clear that if I wanted to play, I needed to find another club, which, you know, that's why I moved on. But a really tough choice and a tough decision, because, you know, I'd had 8 great years at the place, and I said earlier, I arrived as a student, and then you know, fortunate enough to play 250 games for a club like Leeds.
So you were going to go to Huddersfield at one point. That fell through, luckily for you. And you were contemplating Southampton as well. But your wife, I believe, was pregnant with your second son. So you wanted to stay up north. Another good decision. Don't want to be going down south. So you moved on to Bradford City, and you had one final gift for Leeds United Football Club. On the 14th of May, 2000, a goal made in Leeds with Gunnar Haller, free kick. And you've powered in header against Liverpool. You're the scourge of the big clubs. You've struck again. And in one header, you've resigned Liverpool to UEFA Cup football the next season. You've given Leeds the greatest gift, one of the greatest gifts of a brilliant Champions League run the next season. We owe it all to you, because if that hadn't have happened, we wouldn't have had those memories of AC Milan, of Real Madrid, of Barcelona, and you relegated Wimbledon, and you kept your own team up with one header. So what a bizarre day that was.
And I add to that, I kept Bradford up, but then they had 6 weeks of madness that ended up causing all the problems for the club for years and years and years to come. So yeah, in some ways it was a great day, in others it led to a few problems for some, didn't it?
Mm. And Leeds as well.
Well, I wasn't going to go there, but seeing as you mentioned
dream.
it, yeah. Yeah, but yeah, just on that day, yeah, it was an amazing day. Just obviously, I'm focused on the Bradford part of it, and then to see actually Leeds get into the Champions League on the back of, if you like, that result, then great. And I remember getting back home, because people think that we got this massive party planned, or there was some event on at Bradford. There wasn't. Hung around for a bit, and then got back home and just sat actually in a neighbour's garden, and got a call from Gary Kelly's phone, and he was on the bus coming back up the M1, and that was brilliant. The phone got passed around, and he was singing songs on that phone, and just for those guys to think about me who'd left 12 months before was really the cherry on top of the icing on top of the cake on that day.
Just one more from me. Obviously, you played under 3 different managers at Leeds, in Howard, George, and David. What kind were they? Did they have different styles? Because I know we read a lot about Howard was very strict, as was George, and obviously David played a lot of the kids at the time. What sort of your impressions of all 3 managers at the time, David?
Yeah, I didn't have that much time with David in charge, because obviously he moved me on pretty quickly. But yeah, I think they all got their individual ways of working, and yeah, certainly George and Howard very, very organised in their approach, very, very structured. George, definitely when he first came in, we saw this real defensive focus.
Yeah.
I think it was Brighton last night playing 5 centre backs, and it just we were laughing about it. Me and my son saying it's just like a George Graham Leeds team, this with that many centre backs. Yeah. And it was about stopping conceding, and then building from there, and crying out 0-0s and 1-0s certainly in the early days. So yeah, I think one of the things David did, and part of it was when I was there, and part of it looking from outside, was change that and certainly bring a more attacking flair, if you like. And you can do that when you've got the players that he was able to sign, and also the ones that came through. So yeah, different approaches, but I think I was used to Howard's way of operating from time at Sheffield Wednesday, and that was looking, if you like, from the reserves into the first team. But really, really structured, really organised, and one thing that everybody had in common: you had to work your socks off, and that was the key. Really, and that ran right through. People talk about the nuances and the tactical bits, and people getting the edge on other people. The basis was work hard, and that's he's not a bad. You see it now in the top teams. You look at your Man Cities of this world; they absolutely work their socks off, and it's just a prerequisite if you want to be successful. If you want to play at the top end of the game, that's what you've got to do.
Leeds United's a great example, isn't it? I mean, we've run the most in the Premier League this season.
Exactly.
Yeah. Never mind Man City. Didn't we beat them? Didn't we beat them the other week, Stats?
We did, with 10 men.
I doubt that a team that I was in ever ran the most in the league. I might have been a bit of an anchor on that statistic. But
you've gone into management. Youth, on the youth side of things, and then that's led into the head of youth development at the Football League. So can you tell us about making that transition from player to coach and what you're doing now?
Yeah, I had a short spell as player, caretaker, manager at Bradford, and that didn't work out. And looking back, it's kind of hardly surprising trying to do two jobs. It just doesn't happen in modern football. And I found out that was an impossible job. And then I was on the first team coaching staff for a year at Bradford, and then got an opportunity to work in the academy, coaching the 18s every day and being academy manager, and absolutely loved it. And sort of realised then really quickly when I started that youth development was where I wanted to be, not the first team environment. And I had a couple of years there. So I absolutely love what I was doing. Hopefully, I got a decent reputation. And then the role as of Head of Youth Development, the EFL came up, and applied. Didn't really think I'd have too much of a chance of getting it, and was fortunate enough to then be offered the role, and I've been there now almost 10 years. And so much has changed in youth development in that time. I came in just as the elite player performance plan was being shaped, so I got an opportunity to work on that, and it's really changed the way that academies work from pre-2012 to how we're working now. So it's been I've been there nearly 10 years, probably done about 30 years work in those 10 years. It's been it's been tough, but I think we can be pretty proud of the academy system we've got in this country, and certainly Leeds United can be very proud of the academy that they're operating at the present time. The track record of developing players there is absolutely superb, and long may that continue.
Yeah, 2 championships in a row for the Leeds United under-23s, and the under-18s as well. Won a championship. We've got a dedicated youth pod. And I know that they'd have a few questions to ask you. Can you tell me? I'm just very, very, very curious. So what is your day like as head of youth development? Are you shouting at small children to run? Or is it more like boardrooms and paperwork?
Yeah, it's certainly more the second. Yeah, shouting at small children, no. I've not done much of that. I suppose a lot of it's. I lead a department. We've got regional managers all around the country, and I lead that department. We're there to help and support the club. So it's really anything they want, any help or advice, and how to optimise their programs. Really, that's what we're there for. And then I suppose it's almost a strategic approach. I work really closely with my counterpart of the Premier League on and people at the FA around the sort of strategy, I suppose, for the youth development system. So when things were back to normal for the last year, I've just been sat in this chair in my office at home. But normally, I cover a few miles, getting out to clubs, just really keeping in touch and just trying to improve this the player development system across the country, really.
Is there anything that you can do for Leeds? Can you find us the next Jude Bellingham and just sort of shove him our way? Is that possible? Is that something we should talk about off air?
Everybody's looking for the next Jude Bellingham. Yeah. Leeds are doing fine. Don't worry about that. I'm sure the next diamond won't be too far away from making the debut, I'm sure.
You must be delighted to see the progress that Leeds have made, so from top to bottom under Marcelo, and obviously Mark Jackson, your old former teammate as well. And it must be a real buzz to see your old club doing really, really well again, David.
It's brilliant. There's been some really hard times, and I still live in the city, and I obviously keep my finger right on the pulse of what's happening down there, and it's been so difficult seeing the club go from the real heights just after I left to where they ended up in League One.
Yeah. And
then the time it took to get back was just so frustrating. But to see the club doing so well, and really just to get promoted was fantastic. But then to have the season that they've had, and it feels a bit strange for Leeds, but I almost get a feeling that Leeds are becoming people's second team.
Yes.
It just never was the case, was it?
Yeah.
but I think the way that they play, and it's so exciting to watch. Then long may that continue, and hopefully they can just keep on building that and keep the momentum going and turn into a real Premier League force again.
Absolutely.
If Sheffield Wednesday played Leeds, who would you want to win?
Don't watch. Just don't watch it. Keep my eyes closed, stick my fingers in my ears, and just see what happens. Yeah.
What if there were 3 goalposts and it was Leeds versus Sheffield Wednesday versus Bradford?
Oh, it's a 3-way draw. Can we have that?
Yeah, we'll have that.
Three-way draw. There we go. Now, I read that you are inducted into the Say No to Racism Hall of Fame. Can you tell us about that? How did that come about?
Show racism a red card, and that was a time at Leeds. I think a lot of the time at Leeds, and then on to Bradford. Just got involved with that organisation, and I think myself and Gunnar Haller did a few videos for them, and just spent some time doing some appearances, etc. for the organisation, just to help them along. A number of players involved in that. And obviously, while you're a player, you've got that profile. So, you're just hoping that it helps. And they seem to be appreciative of what I'd done, the time that we'd put into it. So, they gave me the honour of inducting me into their Hall of Fame. So, just really pleased to have that accolade, and just hope that my efforts there did some good.
Is that an active part? Is trying to get rid of racism an active part of your role as head of youth development and youth football in general? Sort of starting education early.
Partially, certainly, equality, diversity, inclusion is part of the academy criteria that we've got now. Raising the awareness, and also in the EFL we've got these recruitment codes to seek to increase the number of minority coaches that are working in the game. So hopefully there's still that bit of a focus to look to help in this area and move things along.
Okay, Stats, did you have anything more?
Yeah, just one more from me, David. Obviously, racism is a massive topic in the game at the moment. Do you think social media can do a lot more? Because I know you see a lot of these anonymous accounts sending disgusting, vile messages to footballers. Do you think more can be done to stop that? Because it's something that, as a fan, is breaking my heart, seeing all these footballers attacked for no apparent reason.
Yeah, I'm not the best one to ask about social media, because I'm not on there at all. I just don't do it. But
that's the solution.
But we don't want it. We don't want to get there, do we? I think that's my point. We don't want to get there, because it does seem like it's a fantastic way for players and supporters to interact when it's done right. And you certainly like to think that some controls can be implemented to enable that to happen, because the concern is that people are just going to withdraw from it, and the potential good that it can do then just simply doesn't happen.
Absolutely.
Okay, so this Sunday then, massive game, Leeds versus Manchester United. Who is going to win?
Do I really need to answer that question? I thought you were just going to ask me how many are Leeds going to win by.
That'll do.
How many scuffed goals? Oh, sorry, well-placed goals from centre backs?
Well, last time I checked, they all counted the same.
They did.
Let me tell you, at the time, it did not matter. It did not matter. It was in the back of the net against Manchester United, and there was a wall of noise surrounding me. Could not believe how loud that was. I think it was my third game, something like that. I'd never heard anything louder. And we lived next to the airport, so.
Right. Yeah. Well, no, I think we can be pretty positive going into the weekend, can't we?
Yeah, very much so. Very much so.
Why would we not be?
I'd hope so.
I don't think we've got anything to fear. That we've beaten Manchester City with 10 men. We should have beaten Liverpool on Monday night. But I think we're coming into the form at just not the wrong time of the season, because I know the season's we're safe and we're not going to get sucked into anything. But it'd be nice to finish the season with win after win, going into pre-season, giving something to really look forward to ahead of the 21-22 campaign.
Definitely. Man United are a top team now, aren't they? So it's going to be really tough. But I think we can be pretty confident of a result this weekend.
Absolutely.
Okay, Stats, do you want to thank our special guest?
Yes, I'd like to thank David for talking through all his memories, especially his big goals against Man United, his time at Leeds and scoring that goal for Bradford City, which probably in hindsight, it probably caused a lot of financial issues at the end. But at the time, it was great memories. And I think I remember jumping on top of people. And I think what I remember about that Bradford goal, David, I was at the David Lloyd Leisure Centre in Leeds in Moortown that day, and I had the Bradford game on the big screen and I had the West Ham game on the side, and we were all jumping for joy thinking Barcelona, AC Milan, not knowing what was lay ahead over the next 10 years or so.
Don't blame me for everything, will you?
No. We'll blame you for the Man United goals for a good thing.
Okay.
There's always Caspian if we can point the finger at anybody.
Yes, very true.
Oh dear. Okay. Well, if you enjoyed this podcast, you can check us out on Twitter at Peacock's Roar. But don't make anonymous accounts and send us stupid comments, because that's not cool.
Absolutely.
You can also find us on YouTube at The Roaring Peacock. My name's Adonis, and you know me as at the Adelites on Twitter. It's a very good bye from me. And joining us today was LUFC Stats, Andrew Dalton.
Thank you very much, and thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you, Stats. And making more than 200 appearances for Leeds United and scoring more than one sensational goal, but celebrating tackles and interceptions and blocks just as much as goals. It was our mate, David Wetherall.
Thanks, Paul. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Come on, Leeds! Most of our stats come from LUFC Stats or LUFC Data on Twitter. A very special thanks to Barney Stewart, Cook Ewan and Howard Metcalf, Josh Pearson, Laura, Leon and Rob, The Light Show, and all our family and friends.
So many games to play, don't care what's on your mind.